All right, so here we go. I'm we should be live and feeding out to the people. I'll give it a couple of seconds here so that we can get confirmation from someone that is actually watching us live. Let me know that the audio and everything is coming through, and then we will kick the show off.
Sounds like a plan.
We've got Grant of FreedomVanGo joining us here. So this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, dude, glad to be here. Long time coming, man. We've been talking for a long time about this.
Yeah, I finally tracked you down.
I'm crisscrossing the country with all the events and stuff. That's hard.
Not even me, man. Lola. Lola has that super patient. I know. I know. I bumped into you in I think the last time I bumped into you was at like Overland or something.
I think it was Peace Love Vans.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so, but I could be wrong. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to that.
Oh, dude, it's a great show. It's
is it coming up?
March 6th, the weekend of March 6th.
I think that happens during the Ocala show. That's why. I think that happens during the Ocala RV show, which I got to get you to come to, but you're doing that because you would be cool. Yeah, it would be awesome for you out there. All right, let's see. I'm going to assume that I'm not getting any complaints from anyone. Let me actually check YouTube real quick here.
We're up on YouTube.
Yeah, make sure. Yeah, we are feeding through. Okay, awesome. All right, so I'll just kick this off while we're waiting for people to come in. Please feel free to ask us questions, leave comments and stuff like that. Grant's very knowledgeable in this, and we will try to get to as much as we can here within the hour. But yeah, let's kick this off. Welcome to the VanNoisSeur Podcast. Here we talk about all things Class B vans. Buckle up. This is going to be a blast. All right. Boom. We are live. Welcome to the VanNoisSeur Podcast. I believe this is episode 21 with my friend Grant Wilson. Grant, how's it going, man? You are from FreedomVanGo, but what exactly is your position over at FreedomVanGo? Founder?
Yeah, founder, co-owner, or whatever you want to call it. I wrangle the craziness on the day-to-day, thankfully.
Okay.
It's a super rewarding situation to be in.
I could imagine. Lola and I have used FreedomVanGo to do some upgrades on our van. We did the Raptor upgrade, which was awesome. I'm trying to remember who that was. That gentleman? Max, yes. He was
Max, yes, my shop manager.
Oh, yes. Very cool. Great facility that you guys have in Jacksonville. I highly recommend to anyone out there that needs any custom stuff to check out FreedomVanGo. You know what? Since this is the first time you've been on the VanNoisSeur Podcast, break down FreedomVanGo, how you started it, how you got into all this.
Oh, this is it's kind of a long story, but I'll make it as short as I possibly can. I started building vans probably 8 or 9 years ago. Before that, I had a 4-wheel camper pop up in a Tacoma. One night, it was pouring down rain, and I had to open it to set up camp, and I said no more. So I sold that and the truck together and bought my first Mercedes Sprinter and built it out. Figured out that following Instagram trends in layouts was not a great idea because it didn't work well for me. So instead of completely rebuilding it, I ended up selling it. And bought another van. And just in general, I always kind of share the modifications and stuff that I build and things like that. And it just rolled into people asking, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And probably 8 years ago, I started VanGo Outdoors. And then about 2 years later, year and a half later, I met my current business partner, Chad. He had a company called Freedom Conversions. They built bathroom vans for people that needed a bathroom while they were traveling around. And he kept getting questions for adventure vans and adventure wagon. I was the first installer for adventure wagon and flare space on the East Coast. So he was like, hey, you got a guy right down the road from you that does adventure wagon, if you want to talk to him and get some advice and stuff. And literally 6 months later, we had merged businesses and moved from St. Augustine to Jacksonville, and we were building vans. And the first year we did something like 10 or 12 full van builds, and now we're in our second location. After about a year, it just got too busy for that 4,000 square foot warehouse. So we moved to a larger location, and now I'm super fortunate. We have almost 20 people employed. We do over 400 vans a year. Everything from DIY assistance to, wheels, tires, bumpers, suspensions, electrical systems, all kinds of fun stuff. So it's been a wild ride, but very fortunate to be able to do the stuff that I enjoy every day.
Okay, very cool. And I think Lola and I first met you maybe 4 years ago or something like that at a Overland Expo in Virginia, I want to say.
Yep, Overland East most likely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Overland
I
East,
think
yes.
we found each other maybe by the Aeon RV, I believe is
I
where that
believe
was.
so. Yes, I
Yeah.
believe so. Yes. And that video is on StrangerPalooza. You were a little grumpier back then, or you had that grumpy. I'm sure. Listen, I know how it is to do a show, and towards the end, it gets rough.
Well, you wouldn't be the first person to call me grumpy, so don't feel too bad.
That's your default mode. No, I feel like I feel like nowadays when I see you, you're a little happier, more. I don't know what the reason for that is.
I don't know,
Whatever it
man. You
is
just
good.
gotta keep a positive attitude every day. That's
Yeah.
it's your state of mind says a lot about
Mm-hmm.
what you can do in a day.
Yes, yes. So basically, I think you said this, but just to go back over it, you do everything from you take like an empty shell van and you'll build that up to all the way up to vans that are already built. Like let's say, I buy a Coachman Class B or Class C or something like that. You will do conversions of all sorts.
Yeah, so for full van builds, we only do Mercedes Sprinters and Ford Transits, and we have
Okay.
a relatively prescriptive style, let's say, or layout. We basically standardize everything on Adventure Wagon. There's just a lot of strength there in all the mounting, so we are able to mount all the cabinetry and the bed and everything to actual integrated and adjustable for location situations. Um, but yeah, I mean, we do a lot of what I call bare bones build, where we'll do like an adventure wagon wall system with a bed and then maybe like a power system, and then the customer likes to build all their own cabinetry and all that kind of stuff, all the way up to a full van build. We don't do indoor showers. That is one of the things that we do not do. I
Okay.
feel like if you have an adventure van, you're typically in a place where you don't really need it. If you really need it, fully suggest to get an RV because it's more cost effective. By the time you do a custom van build with all of that stuff, because we do all aluminum cabinetry, we don't do any wood cabinetry or framing. It just ends up being cost prohibitive in the end to do it that way versus just getting like a Revel or a GH1 or whatever Class B you want to throw in there. It's typically my suggestion. But yeah, no, we do. Nowadays, we used to do about 20 a year of those. Nowadays, we do probably like 5 or 6. We don't do a whole bunch of them. Nowadays, it's really a lot more RVs and DIY assistance that we do nowadays, trending.
Okay. What's the craziest thing you ever did, or the most interesting?
Um, I mean, I don't know about. I mean, so we were kind of talking about this before, where like we're a little jaded because we mess with vans all the time, and we're in that industry. So like, I mean, the exciting things that I like to do are to mess with new things. Like we have a customer that used to work for a police light company. So we on one of our show rigs, F 2019 Mercedes Sprinter 4x4. We did a full suite of lights, so like all the dynamics lights, all the side lighting, everything aftermarket on the van was controlled by this lighting system. So like we have 8 SS5s across the front, and all of them are individually triggered and be able to program it and stuff like that. I think that was kind of one of the coolest things, but it's really fun being able to like mess with new electrical stuff. So like Red Arc with their Manager Alpha series, Epoch, Victron, all that kind of stuff. Like it's fun to play with the new stuff that's out of the market and figure that out. That's what excites me the most.
Okay. Let's get this in from Lola. Lola says, Grant, what is the big event that you attend during the RV Super Show time? Because we just came back from the RV Super Show.
Yeah, so every year now, probably for the last, I think, 5 years, I think maybe it was, the Echo, Winnebago Echoes, they have a Tampa Echo Rally. It used to be at the physical RV grounds, but then we got so many, they kicked us out. I think it was something like 70 or 80 that showed up at the event this year. It's at a place called Forgotten Angels.
Okay.
It's a big kind of fundraiser for that group. They take care of kids that are like aged out of the foster system,
Okay.
and teach them skills, get them set, build credit scores, all that kind of stuff. But we were able to raise, I think it was like $14,000
Cool.
for that, via raffle giveaway. You can buy tickets to get raffles and stuff like that. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Different companies or shops, talk about electrical systems and suspension and maintenance and how your systems work and all that kind of stuff. So it's a fun event that we've been doing every year since it started.
Yeah. Do you find that you work on a big number of echoes or B? I guess we can look at it B plus, C minus, whatever marketing category those are in.
Yeah, probably half of the vans that came through in the last year were Echoes between Transits and Sprinters. Just a little over 200 was the count at the end of the year that we did last year, and that's every most of them get like some electrical upgrades or some suspension, bumpers, super singles, better tires, stuff like that.
Now I notice. I think this is a Tiffin because I was looking at the latest video that you did. So I think in this picture that's below me here, that's a Tiffin. What is it? What's it called? Off trail, something like that.
It's the new Tiffin Open Trail.
Open trail.
It's
Yeah.
their entry into the adventure B plus C minus market. Relatively new. I think they just released them a couple months ago. We picked ours up. It's right out about a month ago, I believe, something like that. Got about 10 nights in it so far. So just feeling it out, figuring out what I like, what I don't like, things I want to change, and stuff we want to develop for it. It's a cool platform. It's nice, especially for two people, because we don't have kids. So when we travel, it's just me and the wife and the dog occasionally. So it's a nice layout for the two of us. I like it.
Do you still have your Echo?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we still have our Sprinter Echo. Actually, about to put some Alabans parts on the back of it next week when I have time. So yeah, no, we're still constantly, testing parts and trying out different things and seeing what works and what doesn't, and the things that we want to support and the things that we don't.
So, can you give me like the quick breakdown of the Echo versus the Open Trail? Why would I choose one over the other? I've heard good things about Tiffin, and I've made some videos and checked out the Echo for sure in different forms, Ford as well as Sprinter.
Yeah, so in full disclosure, I mean, we are partners with Winnebago and Tiffin in different ways, obviously. But I really like the Echo because of the opposing dinette. You can sit facing each other. It's got a really nice big table. The out-of-the-box electrical system is pretty capable. Typically, we encourage people to get the single battery with a generator. So they come with a 320 amp hour Lithionics battery, and either we can add another Lithionics battery to give you 640, or we can actually take the Lithionics out and put epochs in.
Okay.
We can put epochs in the same place that gives you two 460 amp hour batteries. But I don't like that it has a propane heater. One one week I was up north in the cold and went through more propane than I thought I would, and woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and it was 30 degrees inside. So after that, I was like, yeah, no. So we worked with Timberline to develop a complete diesel conversion for that. Whereas with the Open Trail, that comes with a diesel heater already built in. The seating position is more like a traditional RV, like a bench with a bigger galley on the other side. The counter space is absolutely amazing. There's a ton of storage, both upper and drawers, significantly more than the Echo has. Also, the outside storage is really, really cool. It's on the very bottom. It's got, fold down
Mhm.
storage. It's all aluminum. All the cabinetry is aluminum in the open trail.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's all
Hmm.
aluminum cabinetry. It's got like wood skin, but like the Winnebago is all wood and the open trail is all aluminum, and it's just pluses and minuses there. But I think what really matters is by the time you do all the stuff that normal people would do, right? Like you get more battery and more solar, or do the diesel conversion, or whatever. They end up being almost the exact same price. So it really just comes down to, in my opinion, whether you're okay with the extra foot and a half on the open trailed length in
Hmm.
order to get that more storage, and which seating arrangement you like. I mean, they're both well built vans for RVs. I mean, I've had pretty much zero issue with my Echo. Just had some like edge banding come loose in a few places, but
Okay.
it's Florida and it gets 140 degrees inside of a van, so that's going to
Hmm.
happen. Adhesive will let loose sometimes, but other than
Yeah,
that, it's
Florida
been
will
dead
kill
reliable.
anything, man. Yeah.
Hmm.
I've noticed that. Let me give some quick shout outs. I see Alex is out there. Obviously, Lola's out there, Vanessa Kitty, and my friend Richard Monder, who's actually tuning in from England.
Wow! Look
So
at
I'll
that.
see. If we get some international questions here. Okay, so you mentioned propane. I'm a fan of propane, and I even did an article for the Propane Council or something. A fan of it. I feel like it's very efficient. My issue is when I run out, and I personally probably have to fill up once a year, but it's always a problem when I have to fill up. A lot of places don't have the right people. They don't have the keys. The thing is broken. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Has that been your experience? Why you prefer a different system?
No, not really. So on the Echoes, they use two of the 20-pound tanks. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really easy if you get in a pinch just to go do a tank exchange, like at Home
Okay.
Depot or wherever. I prefer to get them filled just because you get a little bit more propane out of them.
Mm-hmm.
But there are two 20-pound tanks, so it's pretty easy to get it swapped out. It's just remembering.
Mm-hmm.
And little things like Mopica sensors help out, so you can see what the actual levels are. And when you do things like a Servo GX, it allows you to see what all your tank levels are on your touchscreen, and you can set up alerts and stuff like that. But it's been super easy because we don't
Mm-hmm.
have like a permanent tank, so you don't have to have that special thing that plugs in and all that jazz. It makes it pretty
Ah,
easy.
yeah, that's true. You can carry a backup if you want.
Mhm.
You could do. Okay, cool. So you're not
Mhm.
necessarily against propane. You just feel. What was the system you're using? Is it Ridgeline? You said or
No, we're using Timberlines in the Echoes. I
Timberline?
mean, it's just, I mean, you have, so we do larger fuel tanks, so 45 gallons, both in
Mm-hmm.
gas and diesel, in the open trails, the Echoes, both transit and sprinters.
Mm-hmm.
And we can do a gas version and a diesel version. So it's just easier when you have 45 gallons of whatever there, and it uses, a fraction
Mm-hmm.
of fuel over the 24 hours to just
Mm-hmm.
make it, it's just something you don't have to think about ever.
Yeah, and I noticed that the builders are going in that direction. I know for sure
Hmm.
Coachman is. I've seen like Midwest, a bunch of people are going that direction, and I feel also when I talk to the folks on the videos, they're telling me they prefer the no propane option in vans.
Yeah, well, I think as technology keeps getting better and better and better, and more manufacturers are going to larger lithium banks, it's way more feasible to do things like use convection ovens and use induction cooktops. Whereas, 5 years ago, it wasn't a thing. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't see most manufacturers doing a lithium battery bank and throwing in an induction cooktop. It was still
Mm-hmm.
propane cooktops. So I think with the advancement of technology and consumer expectations, for sure, it definitely makes it so it's more advantageous to go with a non-propane unit. And
Mm-hmm.
because that's all because you were using it for multiple things, right? Generators for heating, for your hot water, and for
Mm-hmm.
cooking. Whereas now it's really only for heating. So,
Yeah.
it makes it a lot easier to forego the complexities and really, I mean, propane's not super safe in general, overall. Like you can't travel through, certain tunnels. You can't go to certain areas if you have it.
Hmm.
You got to take detours. Like it is a hazardous material. So, I mean, there's some, pluses and minuses to it, but I think nowadays with the better battery setups, it's a lot easier to get away from it.
Yeah, people used to use it for refrigerators too. They don't do
Hmm.
that anymore. I noticed with sprinters, which you do a lot of sprinters, that so for example, I think Midwest is doing what they call a hybrid system. So they do have batteries, but then they have a generator, but that runs off of propane because the sprinter vans don't like to idle. Has that become a problem for you or?
Well, all the Echoes have. Well, I'm sorry, it's an option, both on
Mhm.
the Echoes and the open trails, where you can get a generator. But for like Bs that don't have that option, yeah, no, for sure. Mercedes specifically says, don't idle. In any modern diesel, it's not just a Mercedes thing. In any modern diesel, they don't like you to idle because it clogs up the EGR, and it doesn't allow for proper regeneration for the DPF system, and especially people that do a lot of short, kind of around town
Mhm.
trips and not a whole lot of longer highway to really heat up that exhaust and allow for the generation to clear out the DPF. It causes a lot of issues. So
Mhm.
Mercedes specifically, says don't high idle. They literally had a bulletin go out to dealers that like high idle is not allowed. You don't want a normal idle. It will gum things up eventually. There's tons of reports about it, but yeah,
Okay.
Mercedes does not like to idle for long periods of time to charge for sure.
Yeah, I think you don't have that issue obviously with let's say Ford van.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and I heard
Nope.
that they don't really have an issue with sprinter vans that are out there doing general service because they drive so much.
Yep. Correct.
So
Yeah.
that's somehow related to that, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's 100% related to that. Like I'll idle. I've got no issue doing it, but the key is that you really got to get out on the highway, afterwards to clear everything out. Because idling just builds up the soot in the DPF, and you just really got to get all that stuff cleared out and do a regen cycle.
Okay, very good. Okay, we got like 10 seconds. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to come back. I want to get into some other stuff with Grant. So, we'll take this quick break. And I have got a lot of questions about that at the Super Show. We definitely have a Coachman Beyond. It's a 2021. I think it's probably time for us to re-up that and get something else. All right, so Grant, so with the Tiffin. I was looking at your video. I don't know a lot about the Tiffin Open Trail. I would like to get my hands on one and do some more stuff. But I was looking at your video, and what stood out to me the most is that solar awning. So I gotta ask you about that, brother.
Yeah.
So tell me about
So
that, please.
we weren't allowed to really say a whole lot about it, other than it
uh,
was there.
okay.
Gerard debuted it at the Tampa Echo Rally or at
Hmm.
the Tampa RV show, so now we can
Okay.
talk about it.
Okay. Cool.
Basically, Tiffin's been working with Gerard since they're kind of right down the street to
Hmm.
develop a solar panel integrated awning. We have a 960 watt version on the open trail. I think it's something like 15 foot. So, I don't know the exact length of it, but they have a couple different sizes. One for like a 144 Sprinter, like a GH1 Revel, like that kind of size.
Hmm.
That's been in testing. One of our customers had it for about 6 or 8 months or so. So we've been messing with it. We got a chance to test some efficiency on it and stuff like that. And while it's not as efficient as like dedicated roof solar panels, like it is still pretty significantly beneficial. I mean,
Okay.
it's just more ways to get passive power, especially when you're in Florida and you're running the AC and all that kind of stuff. Like if I can have 900 and something odd watts on the awning and then another 1,000 watts on top of the van, that's more than enough to run the AC and charge. I mean, our Echo has 1,200 watts on it on a robotic system that follows the sun, and
Okay.
it provides plenty of power to run the AC and not even touch the batteries on a good day.
Yeah. So are you finding that you're getting that 900 plus watts out of it?
Yeah, I don't think on any solar array really you're gonna hit what it is, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even on like decent sun power. So our Echo has sun power panels on it, which are some of the most efficient panels out there. And out of a 1200 watt array, really on a good day, we see right around 1,000 watts. Give or take in the middle of summer, 12 o'clock, best case scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
But especially like during winter and stuff like that, you're never going to see near that. And with the awning, I mean, you're at the mercy of where the sun is and all that kind of stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd say if I can reliably get like 650, 700 out of it, I'd be super stoked. I mean,
Yeah,
especially since it's something that it's just going to sit there.
for
Otherwise, it would
sure.
just be fabric. So, I
Yeah,
mean, it's
it's
just
better than
it's a
nothing.
super benefit.
Yeah, so you've gotten what did you say your average was out of it?
Well, right now is not a good time to look at it,
Yeah, yeah.
because it's the middle of winter.
Mm-hmm.
So because the
Yeah.
sun's so low, you're going to get
Mm-hmm.
horrible stuff. But I mean, I was messing with it this morning while I was adding another battery to the system, and it was out. We were getting 450 at 10 o'clock
Okay.
this morning, which
Okay.
I think is pretty respectable. I can live with that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I think, and you can tell me if I'm wrong on this. I tell people in general, you're not really going to do. So a Class B van, first of all, you don't have any kind of real estate compared to an Echo or anything like that, right? To a B plus or a C. So I always think that you need as close as you can get to 1,000 watts. That's going to help you replace whatever you're losing in your lithium batteries, right? Do you agree with that, or?
I think it is way more dependent on how you use your system. Like we have
Okay.
so many customers that are perfectly happy with 320 amp hours
Mm-hmm.
of battery.
Okay.
We have so many that want 1200 plus, and
Mm-hmm.
we cater to all of the above. We do a lot of thousand watt solar conversions on the Echoes, and we get a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people that are perfectly happy with the single 300 and I think 40 watts that are on the pop top Echoes.
Okay.
I think it more depends on where you live at, like what climate you're in. If you're, in somewhere where it gets hot, you're probably going to need a little bit more than somebody else. Whereas if you're somewhere where it's more temperate and you're not running the AC a lot, like you can get by with a lot less. It's really, really, really dependent on kind of where you live at and what you have to deal with.
Okay. So let's say I had a Class B van, low real estate, and this is why I like the solar power awning. And I know when I talk to manufacturers, they're telling me they don't think it's there yet. Okay. So I'm trying to get a feeling from you on that.
It's
Do you
there.
think it's there? You think
It's
it's
on my
there?
van.
Yeah.
I mean, it's physically there and working and on the van. I mean, the real
Yeah.
test of time is going to be, how many rollouts, of the awning is it going to take before the panels degrade?
Mm-hmm.
How is storing it rolled up going to cause issues? Is in the cold when you unroll it, is it going to cause issues? Because I mean, as we
Mm-hmm.
know, like wires and everything, if you're in 0-ish degree weather, I mean everything gets brittle. So I think that's really going to be the overall
Mm-hmm.
test is seeing in those extreme circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
how well it holds up. But I think for the vast majority of applications, I think it'll work really well. But there's always going to be weird outliers for sure, and it just may not be a good idea for them.
Yeah, Vanessa Kitty says I plan 100 amp hours at 52 volts for my soon to be
Hmm.
electric recumbent bike.
That'll give you a lot of range for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, what do you think for a Class B van is a good solution and a good number? Or, I mean, I know you're saying it depends on where you are, but let's say you're doing an average. Like for me, I do spend time in Florida and in the South, but I try to chase the weather when I'm traveling and go west. And I do a lot of boondocking, right? So what do you think is a good setup? I know Lola was asking you about, let me see if we can incorporate this, because Lola says lithium has become very popular, even though it costs about 20K more over AGM. Do you think like propane, AGM, and generators also phasing out? So when you combine the lithium and all that, and then, yeah, because this is what we're talking about, like power. So what do you think
Yeah,
is a
so
good setup?
so I think in general there's a little bit of misconception about
Mm-hmm.
what it costs to do like a lithium conversion, right? So when she says it's 20K over AGM, like
Mm-hmm.
that's ripping your entire system out and replacing it. That's
Okay.
not on a new situation. So when you look at like a new van and you look at the components and you look at all that stuff, you're really only paying more for the batteries, right? So if you have 400 amp hours of AGM, right? That's really equivalent to 200 amp hours worth of lithium.
Okay.
And a single 460 amp hour epoch, for example, is $2,200. All the other components are going to be the same, right? Your inverter, your solar controller, your converter, if you're going to use that. Typically, we use an inverter charger, so you can charge from shore power and run everything instead of having a converter and an inverter separately.
Okay.
I mean, all your stuff is the same. Like you have all the same costs baked in. It's really just the battery that's a little bit more expensive.
Okay.
And even then, if you look for same, like, I mean, a 460 amp hour battery is literally like 20 inches long. Well, I think it's more like 20, 24, 26, something like that. Like 12 tall and like 10 wide. It'll take you 500 pounds worth of AGMs to equal that power. And then you also don't have to deal with things like voltage sag. So as AGM gets, lower in the state of charge, the voltage starts to drop off. Whereas on lithium, it's a nice flat curve, and then it, drops off. So I mean, there's a whole lot of advantages to it. But on a new vehicle build, it's almost the exact same price for the same. It's only when you get to the retrofits, because you guys forget labor. I mean, it is very time intensive to do these conversions. So if you want to, because we do them on boats also. So we have a marine division. So like if you take a $140,000 Ranger tug and it's been great to you for the past 6 or 7 years, and really you just want some more power, like it doesn't make sense to sell that boat and buy a whole new one. And the same thing applies to vans, right? Yeah. I mean, if it does what you need, it might be worth that, let's say $12,000 to $15,000 to do that upgrade and modernize the equipment and be able to do all of the monitoring and controlling that current generation stuff has. So, I mean, that's a personal call. But as far as what I recommend for, kind of bare bones, like I find that 400 amp hours is like a good starting point for most people. 400 watts of solar is really what I recommend for the vast majority of people, but the answer is always as much as you can fit. If you have to run an AC unit, honestly, you're just going to have to carry a generator. It just is what it is. Unless you have a massive battery bank, you're going to have to carry a generator, because the math is what it is. I mean, you're using, 80 amps per hour to run a 110 AC, and if it's 90 degrees outside, it's not really ever going to turn off. It'll cycle a little bit, but it's going to use a lot of power. So something like a Honda 2000 or the like is the route to go on that. Just is what it is, functionally speaking.
On that subject, I've got some other questions, but on that subject, oh damn it just went out of my brain. What was I going to ask you? Okay, we'll come back to it. Vanessa Kitty says, what is the voltage those systems are designed at?
So we predominantly do 12 volt. I don't know if I'm in a minority or not, but I don't believe 48 volt really needs to be in Class B or small C vans.
Okay.
In certain situations with much larger vehicles, it makes a lot of sense, right? So when you go to a 48 volt or 52 as they're marketing it nowadays, whatever, you're able to do things like reduce cable size, because at a higher voltage, low amperage, you can use a smaller cable instead of, like in ours, we use a 4-aught cable for alternator charging. You can use like a 1-aught cable instead. And for manufacturers, it's very important because that saves cost, which is bottom line, right? So if you can go to a higher voltage system and use smaller wires over, a 40-foot rig, it makes a really big difference. Things like, really long boats and the big Class A's and buses and stuff like that. There's absolutely an application. But for as small as most of these B's and C's are, there's just no reason to do that. Because then you get into proprietary stuff. Like you've got to have step downs for all the 12-volt stuff, because everything is available in 48 volt native. So, and then you have issues when you start to add in like off-road lights and winches and all kinds of other stuff that, in a 12 volt system, we just go back to it. But on things like storytellers that aren't, we have to add in more 48 volt to 12 volt converters when we start to do bigger light arrays and stuff like that, because you're limited in how much amperage power is available. So, I mean, it's just hard. It just depends on kind of the application, but for that kind of stuff, it's just, I don't think it's worth it for vans.
Yeah, so Vanessa Kitty says, yes, a charge controller that can charge 50 to 100 amps at a time. Otherwise, you take quite a while to charge back up. and 52 to 72 for bike batteries. I found choosing 52 volt to help pedal further.
Yeah, I think when you compare bikes to vehicles, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's apples and oranges, right? Because you're going to the higher voltage so that you get the same capability with much smaller wires. Like, I mean, on e-bikes, on performance e-bikes, like Surrounds, for example. I mean, you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at like 8 gauge, 6 gauge wire for 72 volt systems that are 80 amp hours that are going 70 miles an hour. So it's kind of a different situation because they're trying to push a whole lot of power through really small cables in order to keep it compact.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to do that with high voltage. Otherwise, all the componentry just has to be so big to handle the current draw. So it's just different applications. But yeah, no, for sure. In e-bikes, it's always almost always the higher voltage is going to win out for sure. I mean, we're building a golf cart right now with a 72 volt epoch and an AC motor conversion. That'll probably end up going 50 miles an hour with 100 amp hours in it, and it's going to be super duper fun.
Yeah, and I agree with what you were saying. I figured out Lolo reminded me what I wanted to ask you, but I agree. Like, so for example, with my Cybertruck, when Tesla built that, I think they went, was it 48 volt? And then they have this issue because there's not a lot of stuff, so they're trying to convince people to build the stuff. And it's really, and even though they put out a white paper on it, it's going to be some time before anyone really builds all that stuff, and then they don't have to get into the business of making everything. So
yeah, I mean, because you got to think about your components, right? Your fridge, your AC control stuff, your lights, your fan, like everything functionally
heat.
is 12 volt, and there's not a
Yeah,
whole lot of other options out there. I mean, there are some like 48 volt fans and things like that, but it's just
yeah.
we're not there yet.
Yeah, we need to get there. Okay, the quick thing that I was going to ask you, so 12 volt AC versus 110, where are you at on that? I saw that smile.
Opinion, maybe. I think they're useless.
Which ones? The 12 volt?
12 volt. So we've tested a bunch of them. We've tested, Mabrus. We've tested the Nomadics. We've tested the Medics. We've tested a lot of them, and we find that for the same quote unquote BTU, you don't get the same, right? I mean, a lot of people rate them at 10,000 BTUs, but when you put it right next to a 110 volt AC unit, it's not. And people talk about energy draw and this and that, and they talk about it on eco. If you're using an AC unit, you're not going to use it on eco. Like it's an unrealistic measurement. So when we have to suggest things to people, we have to look at it as you're actually going to use it. And when you use a 12 volt unit at full output on same capability as a 110, it's going to pull almost the same exact power, right? I mean, we had a 15,000 BTU unit on one of our vans that pulls right at 100 amps per hour when it's running, and then we've got the Nomadic X3, which pulls like 75 or 80 at max output, and it's a $4,000 AC unit. Like, it's just not worth the extra capacity. And then the issue is that you have to run it. So, and when I say that, I mean, when you're hooked into shore power and you have a 110 AC unit, right? The inverter charger is going to pass through the power and just power the AC unit, as long as you have, a 30 amp. Whereas on a DC AC unit, your inverter charger is not going to do that. It's just going to charge, right? So at a 3,000 watt inverter charger, like a Victron, for example, you're going to get 120 amps worth of charging. So now instead of running an AC unit on 110 and also getting 120 amps of charging, sorry, there's a whole lot of numbers here. I do apologize.
Right.
You're only going to get 40 amps charging your batteries, right? So if you have a 1,000 amp hour, battery system, divide that by 40. That's how long, if your batteries are empty when you get to the campsite or plug in, whatever, that's how long it's going to take to recharge. It just significantly increases the amount of time that it takes to charge your batteries from empty with a 12 volt AC in a normal system versus using a 110 AC in a normal system. Plus, it's only $1,200 versus the $3,000 or $4,000 for a name brand one. For that's cost savings, you can just add more battery and end up being the exact same situation.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize this. First of all, my experience, I agree with you. I've tested a bunch of stuff. The 12 volt ACs always, especially in high humidity situations, always wind up dumping a bunch of water on me because they're overworking and all kinds of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. And I don't think a lot of people realize, like like in the Class B section, there were a lot of problems that we went through a couple of years ago because the 12-volt stuff out there was not working. Massive recalls. People had to like close down businesses and start up under. It got crazy out there, right? I think you probably saw some of that going on.
Yep, definitely did. I mean, there's definitely an application for it, right? Like if you live in Arizona and you're like Flagstaff, like a 12-volt AC probably would work pretty well, right? It's dry. You don't have the humidity that we have to deal with on the East Coast. Like it's a little different. Like there is a good application for it, but for the vast majority of people that need ACs, it's typically in a hot coast-ish area or 110-degree desert. I mean, it's just a lot of space to cool, and you can't beat the sheer power of a 110 AC unit. You just can't.
Yeah. Vanessa Kitty said, first of all, that she would like to see that golf cart in the future, and she wants to know what our appliance setup in these to use in general RV industry, and that the larger battery pack, the larger the battery bank, then the larger size charging system to get it to charge in a reasonable time. So, what are the appliance setup to use in general in the RV industry?
Yeah, I mean most are 110 for things like your microwaves and your induction cooktops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then everything else is basically 12 volts. So your fans, your lights, all that kind of jazz is all going to be that for sure.
Yeah. This is one of those things you could probably get like super in depth in and get very nerdy. And I'm definitely not as versed on this as Grant, but I just know from experience, 110 is good. 110 good. If you have to have an AC, there's companies that were built up till recently. A lot of companies weren't even putting ACs in vans. They were just leaving it alone altogether. And then
that's because there was no capability for it, right? I mean, when you're looking at it, really lithium has just been a thing in the past 5 years or so. Before that, it was generators. So I mean, you had to either put a generator in there or you had to be hooked up to shore power to use it. So as technology increases, we're able to increase the features that people can have. So it's just going to get more and more over time.
Yeah. All right, so what I want to talk to, we got about 10 seconds here. We're going to take a break and go to the next section. But I really want to come back and talk about the future of the van thing, because you and I were talking about this behind the scenes. So we're going to take this break and come back. There wasn't anything there. Okay, there you go.
Well,
good.
Here we are.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about the future a little bit. I want to know what your vision is of the future here. I know we're kind of like for the whole RV industry, kind of in downtimes, right? I don't know if you agree with that or not.
I mean, the industry overall, yes. I think the niches of certain Class Bs, B pluses, C minuses, whatever. I don't really think so. I think you're seeing a lot of people downsize, at least from our customer base that tells us. I mean, they're going from Renegades to Echoes or, Coach House Arrivas or, whatever, just to make it easier to travel. So we're seeing a lot of that. Which I think is reflected in the big CA diesel pushers, that kind of stuff segments. It's definitely shrinking.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think there's like younger people coming into it. Housing is very expensive. A lot of younger folks can work from home, so I kind of see this. I think we'll always have everything. We'll always have big diesel Class A pushers, and all that kind of stuff. But I see everything from being around a C or a C plus and coming down to B, maybe even B minus, because I'm seeing people using their SUVs, their minivans, even some of the electric cars out there. It's kind of like how they travel and what they live in, because just like me, people hate. I don't hate flying. I've been doing it since I was 5, but it got really bad during COVID and it's never coming back. So, what do you feel? With all of that being said, what do you feel is the future of this whole van thing that we're in?
Yeah, I mean, I think the trends I mean, the people are showing the future. I mean, 5 years ago when they came out with the Transit Echo, I was like, yeah, this is where it's going to go. And now you have 17 manufacturers making a box type RV. Some great, some not. But I think that's where people want to be at, right? I mean, like a 170 Sprinter length, somewhere in that 20 to 24 foot. Box on a van, because you can have a super fancy van all you want. Like I love storytellers, but there's only so much you can do with curved walls, whereas you can do a whole lot with square walls. And there's a lot of companies out there now. I mean, the Aon's been doing it, Nomad. You got RE Global with Boxmobile. You've got, Tiffin, Winnebago, Coachman, Thor. I mean, every major manufacturer, and then all the small guys like Ross Monster and all those are doing the same thing with their own twists and their own, ideals and concepts behind it. But I really think, at least for the next probably 5 or 6 years, that's where it's going to be at until we see the next trend, because it's going to be based on what my generation wants. I mean, I'm 40. And I think that we're the ones that are spending the vast majority of money in the space. And it's just like cars. It's going to be kind of dictated by what that generation wants and needs. So as either families evolve or careers evolve and we're able to take more time, or, whatever, how they're used is going to end up determining what the next sector is. And I think probably after this, it's going to be like the Echo type situation or open trail type situation on like F550s and things like that, so you can tow. I think a lot of people are going to go from this and then want to be able to tow things like side by sides or boats or whatever. So making the jump to a F550 type chassis is going to be the next logical step, I think, in the next couple of years.
Yeah. So you're saying that you think people will gravitate more towards a B plus?
I do.
Okay. Because I like, for me as a van guy, so Lola loves a B plus. I've always noticed this whenever we go to the shows. Okay, I don't even want to. I do like them. I make videos on them, and I'm interested in them. But I always gravitate towards the vans because I feel like they're more stealth, and I'm saying that with air quotes.
Yeah, big air quotes. Yeah, nothing about a van is stealth nowadays. I think everybody knows what you're doing.
Right, yeah, for sure. But I just feel like it's more of a thing I could just show up in a friend's neighborhood, be on their, what is it, their driveway and stuff like that. When I talk to people who live in HOAs and all that kind of stuff, it's a little bit harder to get away with stuff that looks like an RV, which is what kind of like the Echo goes in that direction, right?
I don't know. I think it depends on the situation, right? I mean, I live in an HOA and I bring my van home relatively often, and nobody says anything. But in another HOA right down the street, they do not let it. So, I mean, I think it's a combination of, well, if you live in an HOA that doesn't like campers, like, don't do it. I mean, it's your choice to live in an HOA. Like, we can have the HOA conversation all day. Like,
oh yeah,
I like HOA,
especially for Florida, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very selective in the ones that I would live in. Ours is great. It's super cool. But, I mean, everybody still knows, right? I mean, if you have a Rebel, if you have a Thor, whatever it is, like, if there's an AC on the top, it's not stealth. Really, if there's a fan on top or solar panels, it's not stealth at all.
Yeah, if it's lifted, it's got off-road tires.
Well, I mean, not even, right? I mean, if you're driving through a Walmart parking lot and you see the, 1986 Chevy G20, like, the dude's sleeping in it. Like, there's nothing stealth about that. Like, yeah. I mean, it's just not a thing. I mean, and cops know that, sure, you have a whatever plumbing sticker on the side of your van. Cops know that plumbers aren't sleeping in the Walmart parking lot. Like, I mean, they're not idiots. I mean, the concept of stealth is just way overwritten. I mean, yeah, you're probably not going to get messed with as much as somebody with, a bright green van with, painted flowers all over it, whatever. But, I mean, if a cop wants to be that guy, he can be that guy regardless. It doesn't matter if you're stealth or not. So, but I've gone all the way from Florida to Portland, in an Echo multiple times, and have never once got a knock anywhere that I've stayed. So, I don't know. I mean, there could be something to set for both of them, but I don't know.
I think it really does come down to personal preference and like the size of your family. I would say if it's more than two people, because I noticed Vanessa Kitty was saying it's just her. She said it's just myself, so RV van is the best size for myself. And yeah, I see people doing all kinds of different sizes. But if you've got two people or more, or if it's so, for example, there was a young couple at the show. And the husband was he was like a big, tall, stocky guy. And I said, okay, go around and see what you can actually fit in the bed. The only thing he could fit in was an Echo.
In showers, people don't think about it, right? But also, what shower can you fit in? Like I'm 5'10", I can barely fit in a B van shower. Like a Rebel shower is almost impossible. But an Echo or an Open Trail or any of the other boxes, I fit in perfectly because there's plenty of headroom.
Yeah, that's why I like a rear bath. But then when you do the rear bath, there's things you lose. You don't get a fixed bed. You don't get all the storage. There's no such thing as perfection in this. It really just comes down to what you want. If you have kids, then you're looking at something else. If you have pets that are going along with you, if there's certain things I was just telling someone yesterday, if you're going to do a van, so built within those walls, like Grant said, you just get rid of things. A van is not for you if a lot of stuff has to come with you. I think like a B plus, that like an Echo and other things like that have more storage and stuff. If there's just things that you need to take with you in that case. But listen, I have seen people doing this in like even electric cars, Teslas. I haven't figured out a way to do it in my Cybertruck because I don't think there's a lot of good solutions. I've seen it happening, like the Ineos. I was looking at a video yesterday. Are you aware of the Ineos?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's I think an Australian company that cut the roof and they put a rooftop tent that opens out of that.
South African.
South African. Yes.
Alucab make them, and they've been making it for years for the Land Cruisers. But I know they have a top conversion that you basically cut the whole top off and bolt a new one on, and it gives you a expandable rooftop tent. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, you really have to try out. I feel like you need to try out things and see how it goes. So now, in the past, I've driven stuff like the Revel. So in other words, you have a van chassis, but they put a box on it, and not liked it. Now, I'll tell you, if I had to choose between the Ford, and you and I have had this conversation, but if I've had to choose between the Ford Echo and the Sprinter Echo, I would definitely go with the Sprinter. And now I've noticed that there's something in the formula that Winnebago's doing that it even drives better. Because I always said, it doesn't drive as good as like a van. But then the last time I drove one, it drove like a van. I don't know what they did with the suspension. Maybe you can key me in on that.
In general, I think just the Sprinter drives and rides better. The Transit definitely has more like usable power. I always said my ideal situation is a Transit motor in a Sprinter, but that's never gonna happen. But in general, the Sprinter does drive better, in my opinion, than the Transit.
Yeah, Vanessa. So what's Lola saying? You're absolutely correct about the shower. Even a rear bath, the husband didn't fit in a B van. The Echo is what worked. That's why it's so important that people go see RVs in person and also drive it. I would say. Drive this thing before you buy it, please.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with you.
And you're going to be surprised. Like I'm saying, I was surprised that I think the manufacturers even are putting better suspensions in. But if you have something older or you don't like the suspension, someplace like FreedomVanGo, and they're not paying me to say this, I would approach them or anyone who does upfitting, and and upgrade that suspension. You'll notice that it'll drive better.
Massively better.
Yeah. Vanessa Kitty says, small trailer to tow, so keep the total weight of the RV van down. Do you tow? You tow stuff. I've seen you tow your booth.
Yeah, we used to tow. I still got a 20-foot trailer that we tow to some events for product and stuff. I tow a car, tow a boat, tow lots of stuff.
So future here, right? So I was making my pitch to you, and I showed you today Mod Vans. I'll see if I can get them to come on. They put out a video. It's 3D stuff, right? Where they're looking at electric van. I think a lower roof van, but then the roof comes up. I'm trying to make a pitch to Elon Musk to build a van for us, an electric van. I did test the Coachman Class A RVs. I thought it was pretty cool. What's your feelings on all this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying in the pre-show, I don't want to say most, a lot of like our customers and people that I meet are like, I don't want to drive more than 4 or 5 hours in a day, and I think that falls nicely in the electric vehicle category. I think where we're currently struggling, as many people say, is infrastructure. Whether that's charging infrastructure, whether that's campground infrastructure, whether that's home infrastructure. There's not enough charging stations. I mean, in my area there is, right? But when you go, let's say Blue Ridge Parkway, there's not a whole lot of charging stations. And when you get to your campsite, if you have 20 vans charging, at 50 amps, you're going to overload the entire campground. I mean, it just is what it is. So,
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of as battery technology improves, and range improves, and I mean, like look at Lucid, right? I mean, they're going from, because Tesla's like a 400 volt infrastructure, and the Lucid is, I think it's an 800 volt infrastructure now. You can charge faster. It's way more efficient. The motors are half the size of the Tesla drive motors. I mean, we're getting there, right? None of this stuff existed 5 years ago. Like everybody just needs to realize, like, yes, Tesla's existed, but at the current level of technology, like you could not do what you can do today.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
You couldn't. So I mean, just imagine where it's going to be, 5 years from now. You're going to get 500-mile range out of a van, which is what I get off of a fuel tank. And most people won't drive more than 500 miles a day because when they travel, they want to go see things, which is totally reasonable. It's not going to work for everybody. The person that's going to want to drive 13, 14-hour days, it's not going to work for that person. And that's fine. There's always going to be transits. There's always going to be sprinters. But for the people where it will work, it'll work amazing. I mean, we have a Mach-E. I drive a Lucid every day, and it works for us. Because I have a 13-mile commute to and from work. I can charge at home. It literally costs me $20 a month to charge both of our vehicles whenever we want to. And we no longer pay for fuel. Literally, the fuel that we paid for before was a car payment. So there's always going to be an application for it. I think it's going to be here sooner than we think it will. It's just going to be for the right segment of people, just like EV cars are for a right segment of people now. They're not for everybody, but for the people that they work for, they're amazing.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think about hybrids? Me personally, I don't think we need hybrids, especially in cars. We don't need it, but maybe in vans that might be a solution in vans or RVs.
I think the hybrid, if we did nothing but hybrids, I think it'd be absolutely amazing, right? Look at companies like Edison that are trying to do the diesel hybrid solutions for on the road trucking stuff. I mean, they're making e-axles for trucks where they use a small Cummins to run as a generator to provide the power and charge batteries. Like, I think that's where it's at, right? Imagine having an F550 with a 2-liter, small Cummins diesel in it that is able to charge up a massive battery pack in a very quick period of time, but also provide power to the drive wheels and having, 2 drive motors, one on the front axle, one on the rear, with the locker. Like, imagine the capability of being able to sip on fuel, make massive amounts of power, and have tons of range. Like, I think that's the way it should be in general for anything larger than a Honda Civic. When it's super light and you can make it aerodynamic, it makes sense to go straight electric, but you still have to deal with the charging infrastructure. When you do a hybrid, you don't have to deal with the charging infrastructure at all. Like, you can charge as a nice to have.
If your battery is 100-mile range. Yeah, if you've got, let's say you leave your house and you're plugged in at your house and you've charged up, so your battery range is 100 miles. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was like the BMW i3. Like, I think that was an unsung hero of the hybrid situation, because you could plug in and get 40 or 60 miles. I can't remember what it was, but it also had a little itty bitty motor in the back that would be a range extender. I mean, that's the way to do it. Same with the BMW
Yeah.
i8, right? They had a
Yeah.
little Mini Cooper motor in the back, and you can plug up if you want to, but if not, you could, charge off of that. And I think that's the way to go in general, for the foreseeable future until the grid is capable, large scale of taking care of it.
Yeah. So hold on. Vanessa Kitty says you never hear people explaining how much electric costs are for the electric vehicles.
For us, it's nothing. I mean, JEA is absolutely no cost at all. Like, I mean, we charge probably twice a week. I mean, I think they're both close to 100 kilowatt battery packs. And it literally, our electric bill went up $20. It's been nothing.
Same thing for Lola and I. We have 3 electric vehicles in the family, all Teslas. They all charge here. We only have to worry about charging at superchargers when one of us travels. And that tends to be more expensive because if you're traveling during the day, it's like off-peak, on-peak hours. But from what I've seen, so let's say I'm traveling in my van and I fill that van up, it could be anywhere from, if gas is cheap, to like $60 all the way up to $100 every time I fill it up. With electric vehicle like the Cybertruck, it's anywhere from $15 to $30.
Yep, I can agree with that. Yeah, because we have to fill up when we go down south, because we go to Miami or like Orlando or Tampa a lot. And we typically have to fill up once on the way there and once on the way back. And it's about a 30-minute stop. Because we can charge a little faster with the DC fast chargers than the Teslas can on the superchargers.
Quiet flex on me with the Lucid.
Hey, Mach-E does it too. It's not just Lucid.
I had the Audi e-tron GT, so I know. It charges from 0 to 80% in like 12 minutes or something.
It's
crazy.
So fast.
800.
It's so fast. Well, and that's just a technology thing, right? I mean, when Tesla, started with their standard, you couldn't do that. There's a 400 volt architecture, but once you go to higher volt architectures, you can do the same amount of amperage through the system with a higher voltage and charge, significantly faster. So as it gets better, it gets better. But I think we're going to be there in advance. I think we're going to be here. It's just gonna take a little bit more time, a little more development, and it'll get there.
Yeah, I agree with you. And listen, I don't like electricity because I'm trying to save the planet. I like the power. Especially if you have something that's all-wheel drive electric, it's a great sense of power and torque and all of that. But I agree with you. It's the infrastructure here in Florida. We actually have a better infrastructure than even California has. Let's say we don't get any credit for that over here. Florida is actually the capital of electric vehicles, in my opinion, because we don't have issues other people have. Like California has brownouts, and then they don't want people charging, and all kinds of, all kinds of stuff. And 70% of our electricity is generated by compressed natural gas, and there's all kinds of things going on. I think when it comes to this argument, I think for the RV industry, there's just not a reliable company that's out there manufacturing what we need. That's why I've been trying to, do something with Tesla, but Tesla is on a completely different mission from the rest of us.
I mean, I think Rivian's going to be the next one to do it. I mean, if you look at all of their marketing and their R1s and the 2s and the 3s leaning towards the outdoor segment, or maybe Scout. Same. I mean, right? It's
that's a Volkswagen Rivian project, the Scout.
I mean, I think it's going to be one of those, but the Scout's got range extenders, which are super nice. Like, I think it's going to be probably Rivian who does it next with a version of their, Amazon delivery vans that make it, more accessible, because you can just finally now within the last year or so order those as a person. Where you didn't have to have like a fleet account. So I don't know. I mean, I think that's who it's going to be that does it, but we'll see.
I agree with you. And I think the biggest thing to take away from this is what you said, range extenders. So, when it comes to the whole, like, let's say we're talking about vans, right? Whether it's a rolling chassis or a complete van that they use for building a Class B, a lot of when you're talking about Mercedes, Ram, and Ford, they've developed these things, and it would be very expensive for them to build out electric things starting from zero. I think Ford has invested a lot of money to do that. These other companies may go to China to do it. Although they could just maybe go to Tesla or something. But the easy way to do this is to just add range extenders.
I totally agree with you. 100%.
That's the easy way to go about this, and then ease people into it until we get there. We could probably go on with this forever, but we have used up an hour's worth of time here. I know Vanessa Kitty has a lot of comments and questions and stuff like that. I would definitely recommend folks out there. I don't know if we'll be able to get to it, but if you're at any process in your Class B, B plus C adventure here, whether you want to start something new or you have something or whatever, I definitely recommend VanGo. Lots of good stuff going on here. Very knowledgeable people, very capable. I think the one thing I didn't know before Grant came on is they don't do bathrooms.
Showers. We don't do showers.
Showers. You don't do showers.
We don't do showers in our full van builds. Yeah, we like to keep it simple and reliable.
Yes, but there is solutions. There are solutions for that, and people often ask me like, "What's the most affordable way?" I think if you don't want to spend 150,000 on or more on these things, get something used, or start your own build, or somewhere in between. And if you run into trouble, a place like FreedomVanGo, I think, can help you out. Yeah,
we can help you out.
Yeah, is there anything you want the people to know, Grant, before we get out of here? How can they communicate with you guys? Where can they find out more information?
Yeah, I mean, you can find us pretty much anywhere. We're very, very active in all the Facebook groups for any of the stuff that we work on. We have YouTube as well, youtube.com/FreedomVanGo. You can find us on Instagram, same thing, FreedomVanGo. If you want to reach out to the team, if you want to get any work done, freedomvango.com/contact is the best way to do that. Okay. We'd love to help you out. And if you're in Florida, come by the shop. We have a full showroom, lots of cool products, all the stuff that we love to use, and be more than happy to give you guys a tour of the shop and hang out and talk.
Yeah, people need to make an appointment, right? Or can they just show up?
Yeah. We're typically booking a couple months out. Like right now, we have openings in April, May-ish time frame. But again, we do over 400 vans a year. Like there's back to back to back to back. So we try and schedule very efficiently and effectively. And unfortunately, it's just thankfully to all of you, we're in this position, but it's also
a good problem.
Super frustrating for sure.
Time for a new warehouse, Grant.
No, we want to keep it small. We see what happens with a lot of these brands that try and expand in multiple locations and that kind of stuff. Like, and you just can't keep the same level of accountability. So we're gonna keep on trucking and doing how we want to do it and make sure that we can control the quality and make sure that we give you the best experience we can. Because I mean, look, at the end of the day, like everybody that has a van worked really, really hard to do it, or an RV or whatever. And for a lot of people, this is their life's dream that they've worked for, and we're super stoked to be a part of it and want to make sure that we do it the best that we can.
Absolutely. All right, so Grant, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate this. I'm glad that we were able to work this out, and hopefully we'll get some more videos. We'll do some more things here coming up.
Let's do it. You're not too far away. Come on up.
Yeah, I want to do a video with that Tiffin because I've got a lot of requests to do something about that, and I don't know how far are you away from completing that build, or is it going to be a longer?
We're doing everything kind of more segmented on it. Like on the Echo, we just threw a whole bunch of stuff at it. But like we're doing a little slower. Like right now, the only suspension I've done is a Kelderman rear suspension, along with some shocks and a sway bar. And the electrical, we put a whole bunch of batteries. We put three Epoch 460s in it, and a Victron inverter. And literally just before I came on here, I was working on wiring in another solar controller so that we can put more panels on the roof, and just kind of taking it slow because we got to document all of it.
Yes.
So that the team can know how to do these things, because I mean, just like the Echo, we're developing all of these standards for the open trail. I mean, we developed all these electrical upgrades and packages and stuff for the Echoes, and we do the same thing for the open trail or for any other chassis we work on. But it's got to be repeatable, right? It's not just a one-off. I mean, we've got another customer open trail here that's getting all the same stuff, and
Yeah.
another 2 or 3 next month that are getting dropped off, and we just got to make sure that they're all the same. Because when somebody calls in and has a question, we got to be able to answer it. We can't be like,
Yeah.
oh, on this one we did this, and on that one we did that. Like it's got to be all the same. So
Yeah.
it takes a little longer. We got to document and make instructions and all that kind of stuff for our guys, so we can control the quality. So, but I mean, hopefully in the next 3 or 4 months it'll be totally done. But
Okay, cool.
is anything ever really totally done?
No. And you know what? And another quick thing. I mean, you and I could make a 2-3 hour podcast. I just wanted to say this. I watched your video, and one of the very poignant things. I forgot the name of the gentleman when you were talking to him from Tiffin. You guys were discussing Trent. I think
Trey.
It's really Trey. You said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think you were talking about how they realize that there's certain things that they can leave out of the builds, because people are going to do their own stuff and then come to someone like you. And I really do agree with that. And I've been trying to, the RV van industry that I've been talking to, I've been telling them it's a good idea to do a bones version of a van, right? So don't put all this stuff in there and push up the price of it, so the folks can afford to buy one and then add things as they need it, but they can start getting out on their adventure. So I thought that was a really important thing you guys talked about, and I really want to touch on that more in the future somehow. Like maybe you and I will do a video or something talking about that. I don't know if you want to respond to that before we get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always a good idea to be cost conscious. I mean, in a time where everything just gets more and more and more and more expensive, if we can figure out a way to make it more accessible for people to at least get started, and then expand as they go, or if they know what they want, they know I want a massive battery system and this and that, like they can just get it without the battery and the inverter and add it in, with what you want, instead of the OEM, spending the $3,000 on those parts. You can hopefully save that in the end. But I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice if all manufacturers did that. But I mean, hopefully we'll get them to do a stripped down open trail for people that want to either do their own stuff or know that they're going to do a bunch. Yeah,
I think it would help a lot. Okay. Thanks so much, Grant. I'll let everyone go now. You stay right there. I want to talk to you quick for a few minutes before we get off. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us. It's been a really fun show. Lots of great information in here from Grant. Like I said, reach out to them, follow them on social media. They're putting a lot of good stuff out there. Lola says, awesome conversation. Thanks for all the info and your time, Grant. Much appreciated. We'll see you guys. We're out of here. Peace.
Later.